Section 13 of Sun, Moon, and Stars, Astronomy for Beginners. This is a LibriVox recording. All LibriVox recordings are in the public domain. For more information or to volunteer, please visit LibriVox.org. Read by Jade Mansueto, Sun, Moon, and Stars, Astronomy for Beginners by Agnes Giberne. Chapter 3. Yet More About the Sun. O Lord, how great are thy works. Psalm 92, verse 5. Having seen something of storms taking place on the sun's photosphere, we must next give our attention to storms taking place at his edge. But it should be remembered that the said edge, far from being a mere rim to a flat surface, is a kind of horizon line. It is in fact just that part of the photosphere which is passing out of or coming under our sight. The surface there is in kind the same as the surface of the broad disk facing us. In watching outbursts at the edge of the sun, we have a side view instead of a bird's eye view. In the year 1871, an American astronomer, Professor Young, was looking at a large hydrogen cloud on the edge of the sun. When I speak of a cloud, it must not be supposed that anything like a damp, foggy, earthly cloud is meant. This solar cloud was a huge mass of glowing gas about 150,000 miles long, rising to a height of 50,000 miles from the sun's surface and appearing to rest on pillars of fire. The professor, while watching, was called away for half an hour. He came back expecting to find things much as he had left them. Instead of this, a startling change had taken place. The whole mass of crimson fire seemed to have been actually blown to shreds by some tremendous outburst from below. In place of the motionless clouds were masses of scattered fire, each from about 4,000 to 14,000 miles long and 1,000 miles wide. As the professor gazed, these bits of broken cloud rose rapidly upwards away from the surface of the sun. When I say rapidly, I mean that the real movement, which the professor could calculate, was rapid. The seeming movements were of course slow and over a small space. The actual motions were not tardy, for in 10 minutes these huge fiery cloud pieces rushed upwards to a height of 200,000 miles from the edge of the sun, moving at a rate of at least 167 miles each second. Gradually they faded away. But what caused this sudden change? Just before the professor was interrupted, he had noticed a curious little brilliant lump, a sort of suspicious thundercloud appearance, below the quiet, bright cloud. And after this tremendous shattering, the little bright lump rose upwards into a huge mass of roiling flame, reaching like a pyramid to a height of 50,000 miles. In the course of a few minutes, these enormous flames could be seen to move and bend and to curl over their gigantic tips. But they did not last long. At 12:30, the professor had been called away. By 2:30, the rolling flames completely vanished. Now, whatever may be the full explanation of this sight, there is no doubt that on that day was observed from Earth a gigantic outburst, compared with which our greatest volcanoes are like the sputtering of a farthing dip beside a roaring furnace. The awful force and extent of such a solar eruption are more than we can possibly picture to ourselves. At our distance we may catch a faint glimpse of what is going on and calculate speed of movement, but vividly to realize the actual terrific grandeur of what took place is past our power. Possibly this was much the same kind of outburst as that seen by the two English astronomers, only theirs was a bird's eye view, as it were, looking down on top of the sight, while the professor had a side view, certainly much the best for observation. It does not follow from what he saw that the eruption must have taken place exactly at the edge of the sun. Probably it happened near the edge. All he could say was that the flames rose 50,000 miles, and the pieces of cloud were carried 200,000 miles away from the edge. The eruption may have begun on the other side of the sun, at any distance from the horizon edge where it first became visible to earthly eyes. Also, while the professor found that the shattered cloudlets moved at a rate at about 167 miles each second, it is calculated that the first fearful outburst must have caused movement near the surface of the sun at a rate of at least 300 miles each second. Probably the hydrogen cloud was borne upwards along with a vast mass of fragments flung out from the sun. We are here upon doubtful ground, but this stupendous power of eruption in the sun and of driving matter out of and away from his surface should not be forgotten. Though such a sunstorm as that just described is not often to be seen, yet there are at all times certain strange and red prominences, or glowing flames, rising up here and there from the sun's limb. Doubtless they rise also from other parts of the photosphere, though they are only visible to us when near enough to the edge to stand out beyond it. As generally seen, these prominences have clear, sharp outlines and are usually bright rose-red in color. They are described as sometimes wide and low, sometimes tall and slender, sometimes jagged, sometimes regular, sometimes keeping long the same shape, sometimes changing quickly in a few minutes. They are said to be like flames, like mountains, like the teeth of a saw, like icebergs, like floating cloudlets. As to their height, from 50 to 80,000 miles is nothing unusual. We must not speak of Mont Blanc or Mount Everest here. Jupiter placed bodily on the surface of the sun beside such a fire mountain would not far overtop it. The Earth, Venus, Mars, and Mercury would lie like little toy balls at its foot, and these are common-sized sun flames. One had been measured which reached 160,000 miles in height, and even this has been exceeded. The spectroscope shows these solar prominences, or jets, to be principally formed of glowing hydrogen gas. Beyond the Sierra or chromatosphere, that border of rippling crimson fiery billows round the edge of the sun, with tall red mountains rising out of it here and there, beyond these stretches the corona. The corona, as seen from Earth, is a bright, far-reaching glory of light shining round the sun in a total eclipse. The moon then comes between the sun and the earth, her dark round body creeping over the face of the sun till the bright photosphere is completely covered. But the Sierra and the red prominences stand out from behind the black moon, and the beautiful soft corona light stretches far beyond. It was long doubted whether the corona really belonged to the sun or to the moon. No question now exists that it is part of the sun. Various descriptions of the corona have been given at different times as observed during different eclipses. It has been seen as a steady, beamy white cloud behind the moon, showing no flickering. It has been seen marked with bright lines of light and seeming to move rapidly round and round. It has been seen silvery white, sending off long streams of brightness. It has been seen in the form of white light, with bluish rays running over it. It has been seen with entangled jets of light like a hank of thread in disorder. It has been seen silvery white again, with a faint tinge of greenish violet about the outer edge. It has been seen from a high mountain top as a mass of soft, bright light, through which shot out, as if from the circumference of the moon, straight, massive, silvery rays, seeming distinct and separate from each other to a distance of 2 or 3 diameters of the lunar disk. The whole spectacle showing as upon a background of diffused, rose-colored light. The shape of the corona seems to change much at different times, and the outer edge is blurred and indistinct, fading imperceptibly away. How far it reaches, in a state of extreme thinness, no one can tell. Outlying portions, which the strongest sight cannot detect in the most powerful telescope, can be pictured by means of photography. Different explanations of this crown of light have been suggested. Some suppose it to consist of an atmosphere, gaseous in kind, reaching outward from the sun's surface, growing ever more and more rare after the fashion of our own atmosphere, only to an inconceivably greater extent. Some have conjectured it to be formed of countless revolving meteorite particles, more after the fashion of Saturn's rings. But our knowledge of the true nature of the corona is yet in its infancy. A few closing words as to the size and weight of the sun. In diameter 860,000 miles, and in bulk equal to over 1,200,000 Earths, his weight is in proportionate less. Our Earth is about 4 times as dense as the sun. If her size were increased to the sun's size, her density being the same as now, she would be very much heavier than the sun and would attract much more strongly. Still, though, the sun is of lighter materials than the Earth. His immense size gives him weight equal to 750 times as much as all the planets put together. The attraction on the surface of the sun is also very great, so great that we can hardly picture it to ourselves. If life exists there at all, supposing it possible that any kind of life can be in such a fiery atmosphere, it must be life very different from any known in this world. A man who walks on earth weighs 12 or 14 stone and walks lightly erect, would on the sun lie helplessly bound to the ground, crushed by his own overpowering weight. It is said that a cannon ball reposing on the sun, if lifted 1 inch and allowed to fall, would dash against the ground with a speed 3 times greater than that of our fastest express trains. For weight on earth is merely caused by the amount of force with which the earth draws downward a body towards herself, a force greater or less according to the density of that body. So weight on the sun would be immensely increased by his immensely greater power of attraction. It is an interesting question how far the sun's attractive influence reaches effectually through space. The nearer a body is to the sun, the greater the attraction which he exercises over it. At the distance of the planet Mercury, a speed of some 30 miles each second is needful to overcome or balance it sufficiently for the planet to remain in his orbit. At the distance of the planet Neptune, about 4 miles each second is enough. If a planet were journeying at 4 miles the distance of Neptune, the speed would need to be not over 2 miles each second, lest the planet should break loose and wander away. But even 2 miles a second is no mean speed, more than 7,000 miles an hour. If we come to speak of that which we on earth call rapid motion, we shall gain a clearer idea as to the extent of the sun's power. Suppose a planet were traveling through space at the rate of one of our express trains, 60 miles an hour. It has been calculated that, unless the sun's attraction were interfered with and overpowered by some nearer sun, which by the way would probably be the case, the said planet, though placed at a distance 10 or 12 times as great as that of the far-off star Alpha Centauri, would still be forced by the sun's attraction to journey round him in a closed orbit. At such a speed, it would not be free to wander off into the depths of space. End of section 13.